Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those special days in our life as a nation that we can join together and set aside the partisan robes, and we can join together as Americans and remember those who have given of themselves, who have served our country nobly, and we can salute them today and recognize what they have done for the cause of freedom. And this is a great day in Arkansas because we have our federal delegation that's here together. We have our state constitutional officers here, our legislature here, as well as citizens of North Little Rock. And thank the mayor for allowing us to host it here in this library facility. But I want to recognize particularly Senator Bozeman, who is here, and Congressman French Hill, both who are strong advocates for our veterans in our country. And we do a lot here in the state of Arkansas that I'll talk about, but there's so much that has to be done in terms of watch care over the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs and our care for veterans, and our congressman, our senator do an outstanding job. I wanted to recognize Matt Sneed, who is our director of the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs. Sometimes you make good choices and sometimes you make great choices. Whenever I ask Matt Sneed to lead up the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs, I think you would agree that was one of the great categories of decisions. Matt, thank you for your leadership. And under Matt's leadership, the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs has really extended more than ever before its support of services for our veterans. Director Sneed, with the help of our veteran service organizations, and I wanted to recognize them here, the important role that you play as individual service organizations, but also as part of the coalition in helping to guide the State Department of Veterans Affairs. You have been an integral in this and developing our strategic plan to support our veterans. This strategic plan is designed to improve our service to our over 250,000 veterans in the state of Arkansas. And part of that strategic plan was to move veteran services closer to the veterans and to establish 5 regional offices in this state by 2020. I've been informed that this strategic goal of having 5 regional offices by 2020 will be completed next month. That's called marching at warp speed, and congratulations, Matt, and the team that you've put together. But in addition to supporting our veterans, I believe that it was important to support our military installations in this state. And for that reason, I created the Military Affairs Committee within our Arkansas Department of Economic Development. This is the first time we've had a state organization, a state committee, designed not to support one military organization or military installation, but all of them combined. And as we look at greater partnership between our military installations, our military bases, and our community and state, it is critical that we expand services to them, that we show support nationally, hopefully to increase their mission and their presence and strength here in the state of Arkansas. Whether you're talking about the 188th Fighter Wing or the Little Rock Air Force Base or the Pine Bluff Arsenal, all of them together not only support our military and servicemen and women, but they also support the national security mission that they've been assigned, and they do a terrific job. We also are looking at the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs having an initiative called ADFA Verified, in which we look at the different nonprofit organizations that provide services, and that, so to eliminate confusion, we give them ADFA Verified whenever they have met the standard of excellence that is expected of our service organizations and our nonprofit organizations. And I know that Director Sneed is working with the Attorney General on that. We want to thank the Attorney General, Leslie Rutledge, for her support of that initiative. And finally, the work of the new Veterans Home in North Little Rock is proceeding. It was exciting to be at the groundbreaking. It's exciting to see that develop, and it will be terrific to see it provide the services to some of our veterans that is much needed. And so we are working hard to support the veterans in the state of Arkansas, our 250,000 veterans that we do not want to forget, that we want to express our thanks for and to continue to advocate for. Veterans Day, though, is also a day of reflection, and we all should reflect. And I reflected back on the summer of 1968. The summer of 1968 found me finishing high school, working in Welch's grape juice factory before I took off for college. On August 26, 1968, I was headed to college. It was on that same day that Staff Sergeant Nicholas Bacon and his unit were ambushed in a hilly area west of Tam Key in Vietnam. Sergeant Bacon was from Caraway, Arkansas. Sergeant Bacon, before he enlisted, his family had moved to, I believe it was Arizona, where he was a farm laborer, and he joined the United States Army at the age of 17. Yes, there might have been some illegal behavior in that. But he joined because he wanted to get away from working on the farm. And so that found him on that particular day, August 26, 1968, that he was and his unit under intense enemy fire, and it was at that time that Sergeant Bacon destroyed an enemy bunker with hand grenades while his platoon leader was shot and fallen wounded. At one point, Sergeant Bacon survived a nearby explosion that left him with a concussion. Nick Bacon took command of the platoon and led the assault, finally killing the enemy gun crew in a single-handed effort, according to his later citation. Another platoon leader was killed, and Sergeant Bacon assumed command of the second platoon as well, and he continued the fight. He killed 4 more enemy soldiers, destroyed an anti-tank gun, and despite the heavy enemy fire, Sergeant Bacon jumped onto the exposed deck of a tank to lead his men. His efforts allowed several wounded soldiers to be evacuated and led to the rescue of many more. For his actions in the face of great danger, he received the Medal of Honor in 1969. An Arkansas hero, an American hero, a winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor. This, what I recited, was quoted from the Washington Post, but they also, at the time that they recounted his heroics, they had interviewed him, and this is what he said about his previous service. He said, quote, "I was never prouder. I was never in better shape. I was never more sure that I stood for something in my life than I was when I wore the uniform. When I retired, I couldn't replace that," end quote. The simple language of a soldier, the simple language of a patriot. I was never more proud than when I wore the uniform. Of course, after he left service, he continued to serve, and he was one of the first leaders of the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs. His story reminds me of the end line of a war movie. It was a war movie in which an American pilot was shot down trying to rescue some of his men. As the word of his death went up the chain to the commander asked this question: "Where do we find such men?" And of course the answer is, we find such men like Nick Bacon. We find them in the Caraways. We find them in the Gravets of Arkansas. We find them in the Lonoaks and small towns all across Arkansas and across this nation. And whenever we are in times of stress in our nation, whenever we are challenged in our American spirit, we all ask the question, are we still producing men and women in the United States like Nick Bacon? And I think the answer is a resounding yes. And so when our nation calls, and when there is that call of duty, I have no doubt but that the people of America continue to respond. Not all receive medals, not all are recognized, but all deserve the honor of those who have served our country. My dad, in World War II, was the age of 37. He had 4 children. He enlisted. They called him the old man of the outfit, and he was in the Seabees serving in the Aleutian Islands. It was cold. But he served our country, and at the same time, my mom went to work at Tinker Air Force Base in military, not construction, but in the development of our weapon systems and supporting the men and women overseas. And so we all did our part. Our nation was brought together during World War II. Today, we recognize all of those who have served, our veterans, but also those spouses who are at home, who sacrificed, the family members who have sacrificed as well. They all have served our country in different ways. And I want to recognize as well the Gold Star families, those whose family members have given their ultimate sacrifice. Today, we recognize all of our veterans, whether those are medal winners or whether those who have just served with distinctions. And today, we remind ourselves that it is still a dangerous world. It is a dangerous world in which we look in the Middle East, we look at looming challenges from North Korea. All of this reminds us of the importance of a strong military that we must support in our country. We see in the election cycle the debate from both parties on the issues of war and peace. It is as it should be, because these are big decisions where to put military power in the United States. And we should debate when we should engage as a nation, when we should not engage, recognizing, as George Washington, our first president, did, all that was at stake and the sacrifice that is required. But regardless of when we should engage and when we should not engage, it is important to remember that America must lead. I do believe in the words of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the famed Russian dissident, who said this: if America does not lead the free world will not have a leader. America is expected to lead. America has led, reflected by the veterans in this room. We have led, we have defeated Nazism, we have defeated countries in both continents who rose up to be against freedom. We have defeated those because of the might and power of the United States, but more importantly, we have defeated those enemies because of the goodness of the United States of America and our love for freedom and the recognition that sacrifice is still required to support the freedoms that we hold dear. So veterans, I salute you, I honor you today. The entire state of Arkansas expresses our appreciation to the veterans from this state who have served our country overseas and inland. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.